Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this guy right here. Now, I've already done a comparison of the new Dust Tactics 1947 starter sets that are coming out, but it was just really kind of an informational video about what you get in the box, what they look like, and the different kinds of ways that you can buy them, because you can buy them where they are pre-assembled, you can buy them pre-assembled and pre-painted, you can buy them pre-assembled and just base coated, or you can buy them unassembled where you put them together and it's just like any other kind of model kit that's out there. So that's what I did on the last video. This video, however, is going to talk about gameplay and how the actual game takes place with the basic starter set rules. So let's get down to the table and I'll show you. A game of Dust Tactics is won in one of a few different ways. First of all, if you eliminate all of your opponent's pieces on the board, then you've won. If you are the one to establish the objective set apart by the scenario, then you've won. Or if you have simply destroyed enough points worth of units, more than your opponent, by the time the number of allotted rounds have run out, then you're also the winner. Any one of those three is a viable win in Dust Tactics 1947. Each unit comes with its own unit card, and they are double-sided, so it gives you a pictorial representation of the unit on one side with the number of points it takes when you are constructing your army, and then any special abilities here. But on the other side, it has all of the unit's stats. And the unit stats are pretty simple. This is how many squares it can move. If it has just a regular move action, a march move action, you can move 6 squares or 6 movement points. And then the kind of unit that it is, so it is an armored unit, and it has an armor class of 2. And then it has the name over here and any special abilities that the unit may have here, which you can again flip over and read the effect of that. And the name of the weapon, how far it can fire, its effective range, so the 50 cals have a range of 8. And then you have a number of different numbers here. So if they're shooting at an infantry with an armor class of 1, they're going to roll 12 dice, and each hit scored will do 2 damage. The same thing is true for infantry armor class 2, but if infantry armor class 3, for example, if they're shooting at Rhino here, which they wouldn't, they're on the same team, he's an infantry armor class 3, then he would only be rolling 10 dice, and each hit scored only does 1 damage. If you shoot at armored tanks, depending on what their armor class is, and then over here also air units. And then finally on the end here it has the arc. Furthermore, down here on the bottom of the card you have the number of hit points that it can take before it is destroyed, and then you also have a health marker here that you can actually use a dry erase marker on, because the cards do have a special coating on them, and then you can just use a dry erase marker to mark off those different hit points. Alright, the first thing that each player does on the beginning of a round is they take 3 dice and they roll for initiative. Initiative is whoever has the most stars, and then if there is a tie, whoever rolled the most stars and crosshairs will be able to take the initiative. And then once the initiative is set, you can activate your units. One person doing one of their units, the other person doing one of theirs, and back and forth in that fashion. The activations that you can give to your units are, first of all, nothing. You can tell your units to do nothing. Then you can also tell your units to move. The move value that is listed here on your unit card is how far they will move if it's just a regular move action. And movement is pretty simple. You can move orthogonal, or you can move diagonal, but the first diagonal movement is free. Well, it's not free, it costs just a normal action. But if you need to move again, it would be 2 of your movement points. So if I'm here and I wanted to move here and here, it would be 1, 2, 3, like that. Or I could simply move 1, 2, 3 forward like this, or whatever. This is the maximum number of movement points you have. You don't have to use all of them. The other thing that you can do is a march move, which actually takes 2 of your actions, which is the maximum number of actions that you have in a turn, unless you have a special ability that gives you a 3rd action. But 3 is the absolute most that any one unit can take in a single turn. Now, march move is this second number here, and it takes 2 actions, so you're basically just moving twice. But again, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could do that. Then you can also tell them to attack, and I'll go over attacking in detail later on. You can make ranged or close combat attacks depending on the kinds of weapons that you have, but close combat is handled in a different phase. The other activation that you could do is called sustained attack, where you are basically telling that person to attack twice. And for example, if I was attacking a armor unit of armor value 1, I would take 7 dice and roll them. I'm looking for stars, so I have 1, 2, 3 stars, and all of these misses. If I'm doing sustained attack, I get to roll again, and then I have 1 more star here, and that's how many hits I would do against that person. All right, so that's sustained attack. And then you have any kind of special skills or anything like that. You can tell your unit to activate their special skills on their turn, and that simply takes an action to do that. Close combat happens if you're ever adjacent to another enemy unit, and you would use either your close combat weapons, which will be listed on your weapon profile, which in the range here it would simply have a C instead of a number, standing for close combat. Or if you don't have a close combat weapon, you can always roll 1 die per model that's involved in the close combat. So there is that. Okay, for a sample turn here, let's just say that the wildfire is going to be the one that gets activated. He has 2 actions, and he sees that the crows have come around the side of the building there, and he's going to do his best to try to take them out, but he also wants to position himself maybe a little bit better than he possibly could. So he's going to first of all give himself 1 activation, 1 action of moving, so he gets 3 movement, so he'll go 1, 2, 3, like this, and then he's going to use his second action to take a shot at the crows here. Now, line of sight is such that if you draw a line from one center of the hex to the other, and there are no obstructions, then you have a clear line of sight. So, as you can see here, they are pretty well lined up. They don't actually have any cover. Now, with infantry in Dust Tactics 1947, you always have an infantry save, which means that even if you don't have any cover, you could possibly dive out of the way or something to that effect. So you always have a cover save, but it's not as good as a regular cover save if you're behind a structure or blocking terrain or something to that effect. All right, so here the wildfire takes its gun profile here, and it has to talk about the crow's armor. So the crow's armor is infantry 1, so he goes to infantry 1 column, and he's rolling 12 dice, and each hit is going to score 2 points of damage. Now, when you're shooting at multiple model units here, each model has a hit point of 1. The extra damage that the wildfire might do to each of these models does not splash over into the other ones. So, in order to take out this unit, the wildfire is still going to have to score 5 hits, regardless of how much damage each hit does. So the wildfire takes 12 dice, and we're going to roll against the crows over there. We have 1, 2, 3 hits. Then the German player is going to be able to take 3 dice, 1 for each hit, because of his infantry save. This is different than a cover save. An infantry save, you're just looking for the faction-specific symbol on the die. If it were a cover save, he would also be looking for shields, but since it's just the infantry save, they're looking for the crosses for the Germans. All right, so we have 1 is blocked, so that means that 2 of the models are destroyed. Now, a couple other things about line of sight. Let's say that the Fallschirmjäger 40 here is wanting to target Rhino over there. This would be not a problem because he has line of sight. If you look here, he goes center to center, and as long as the line that you trace does not cross opposing obstructing terrain, then you're okay. For example, this tree here and the corner of the building, they're on the same side, so he can peek around to the other side and see it. But if this tree were up here like this, there would be no line of sight because this and the building, they're on 2 different sides, and so it would be obstructing line of sight at that point. If we wanted to fire at the Rhino here, we would not have line of sight because that tree is blocking, making it harder for us to target the unit. So that's how you play Dust Tactics 1947 with the starter set rules. Now, there's probably a lot of difference, actually there's a lot of difference between the basic starter set and the more advanced rules that you can find and download online. However, the basic way you play the game is the same, so that's what I really like about it. You can choose to play with just the regular starter set rules, or you can go deeper down the rabbit hole, so to speak. Now, the rule book that comes in the box, in the starter sets, is actually really cool, and it has a lot of different diagrams and pictures and stuff like that that go into explaining how the game actually plays, and it has this kind of an old school look to it. So I really do like how they did that. There's just a lot of different kinds of illustrations and all that kind of stuff. Quick references on the back. It comes with a number of different scenarios that you can play to start off with. You can create your own scenarios as well. So all of that combines for a pretty neat tabletop miniature game experience. Depending on how you go about procuring your miniatures, it depends on how quickly you'll be able to get into the game. If you buy the pre-assembled, pre-painted stuff, boom, you're done. It's the more expensive route, but if you've got the extra cheddar, you might as well go ahead and do it because, quite frankly, the painting on these miniatures is really, really good. I mean, if you just take a look at that and you can see the detail that gets put into, for example, the wildfire here. So again, the pre-painted stuff, probably well worth your money if you're not into painting. But if you buy pre-painted stuff and you like painting, you're kind of knocking yourself out of half of what you're doing here. So there is that. Now, as far as the gameplay is concerned, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. There aren't any curveballs. If you have any kind of experience playing tabletop miniatures games, you'll probably be able to grasp these rules fairly quickly. And even if you don't have the experience of a tabletop miniature gaming, you'll probably be able to grasp them pretty quick as well because they are very simple. They're very basic. The differentiation that comes from the game are the actual units and what the units can do and the weapons that they carry. And that's one of the things that I really do enjoy about it a lot. The theme of the setting is what really shines through in that respect. I mean, some of the leaders have laser pistols that can have exploding dice where they keep rolling. As far as they keep rolling hits, they can continue making hits because the laser weapons are just that much more powerful. You have some that are like, for example, Rhino has heavy rocket fists for close combat, and he does a lot of damage. So you can have this one guy going up against a tank and doing well at it. So there's a lot of different things that flow into it. It's a rich universe. that has a lot of theme just dripping out of it, and I think they've done a good job backing up that theme with what these different units can do and how they do it. So I did like that a lot about Dust Tactics 1947. Now, my one main gripe with the Dust Tactics 1947 starter sets is that you only get one faction in each starter set, which means that you have to buy 2 starter sets in order to be able to play a game. Now, they made that decision trying to make the starter sets more affordable, meaning that if they had starter sets that had 2 factions in them, they would be just too expensive and people would probably shy away from them. So I kind of see their goal there. I see what they're trying to do. However, that's still kind of a bummer for me. I usually want to buy a starter set that has everything that the game can offer me, even if it's just a few models of each one, so that I can play a game with buying just one starter set rather than having to buy 2. But that's the main gripe that I have. Now, with that having been said, they are coming out currently. They are about to go into production with conversion kits for everything that has ever been made so far with the Dust Tactics universe for the miniatures game. They're going to have conversion kits, unit cards, and everything, and everything's going to be compatible backward and, of course, going forward as well. So that's a really cool thing. Another cool thing about it is that those conversion kits can be downloaded for free online, or you can purchase the cards, because the cards are pretty neat. They have that film over them where you can use the dry erase markers on them, make notes and whatnot. So that's a pretty cool thing that they've done. They're thinking that way, making it sure that the people who have already purchased the game can move forward as the game evolves and progresses. So that's a cool thing as well. So all in all, my opinion of these starter sets is that they're very, very neat. Of course, they are on the higher end of tabletop miniatures gaming, so there is that. However, I think with what you're getting, I think with how they're making everything available for you moving forward, if you've already purchased Dust Tactics from Fantasy Flight, if you've already purchased a lot of models, this new rule set is incorporating all of that. So it's not like you're having to start over from scratch. You can just pick up the stuff that you need to continue moving forward. So all in all, I think this is going to get 2 thumbs up from me. I really enjoy the universe. I really enjoy how simple the game is to play, and there's just a lot to enjoy about it. I just wish the starter sets had 2 factions in them. But I mean, that's a really cool thing that you can use to kind of diversify your game. You don't have to start with the vanilla starter set that everybody's going to pick up. You can get the Allies, and then you can get the Blue Crews, which is the paranormal version, where you're going to have those laser guns and zombie troops and all that kind of stuff. Or you can go with the Russians if you want the Russians, or you can have the Axis, the Allies, or there is actually even a mercenary faction as well. So again, where it's a gripe for me, I see what they were trying to do, and I think it's a kind of cool thing. So I'll reserve my judgment on that. I'm going to give 2 thumbs up. I really do enjoy Dust Tactics 1947, and I hope you can go give it a whirl, and we'll see you guys on the flip side.